Okay, so I'll go. Well, actually, for me, it was kind of vital um, because we have to remember in which context we created or this community started, and it was during the first lockdown. It was very particular, Corinne, when you reached out to us for doing an event, because it turned out that it wasn't only an event. Like, I think for my part, I wanted pretty soon to commit myself to something more than just doing an event online. But I think for me, the most precious things were the meeting we've been having every 2 weeks, to just meet, talk, point out how we feel, what to do, and how to. I think this was exactly what designed our platform.
Yeah, I'm completely agreeing on the. For me, it's, I felt a bit like on a boat, and the wind goes out, and then you have the little that gives you a little bit push every time it goes down. So every 2 weeks for us is a meeting, and that really helped. Even if sometimes I didn't want to, or wasn't in the state of mind to take care of this, or to participate. Or even just co-work with other people. I felt like on these 2 years, the antisocial feeling came up a lot. So don't want to go out more and more and stuff like that. And that brings really the little wind I needed. And hope that we can always do something, whatever happens. So we can go forward.
For me, Out of Sight has become a community because before, when we got into the lockdown, I know about Out of Sight, but as a participating artist, and it was very much based in Chicago. And since the lockdown, Out of Sight has become actually more international. It's not longer fixed to a space, which is interesting with the name of it. But yeah, so for me, it has become more a community. It has become a place, a platform for meeting new artists, but also to stay in touch with artists and also to think ahead, to think into the future, to create new collaborations. So that's very exciting. So I think it's a good place to learn from each other as well. So that's what Out of Sight has been for me this last 1.5 year, almost 1 year basically. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 year exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has, it's interesting because when I reached out to everybody, it was initially just to create that first program and to, create a support for artists in this time. But then by really collapsing the control, because Zoom rooms are actually created to facilitate controlled meetings. And I said at the start, I'm not going to control this space. And it is, it is an open platform. So the artists involved, there is no obligation. People don't have to, they come when they can. But it is a space, it is an infrastructure of support that where people can jump in. If they want to do a performance, they can create a performance, they can collaborate with somebody else, and it's a community, it's open. But again, it's really important that in order to facilitate creative practice, that it isn't obligatory, and so that it does become this fluid flow, you know, of a platform. And you know, it was interesting because after the first performance that you all did together last May, it was May 26, 2020, which was the day that George Floyd was shot. And we all tumbled through the traumas of the last year together. And that was a huge support for me individually, you know. And Jeremy, you talk about the wind. It kept the wind in me as well, you know. There have been times when I was like, I was stuck in the cells of the ship, you know. But the winds kept blowing, and it kept creative, and the wind was the creativity that has helped us maintain our flow. And I think having these open conversations bi-weekly has really enabled us to create and envision, you know, just slowly, and it's evolved and evolved. It's very exciting.
All of it. I think it's I'm looking forward for other people to come in and be aware of what's happening and branch in, you know, to this project. And it's kind of like a bag of tool, yeah, like workshop, conference, like it's growing. And you know, I find this really precious, again, to be part of it, but also it's good that it's not just closed on us, but we're starting to opening up. And I think, like Ieke and Jeremy have said, it's like all this conversation makes you also think about your own practice, and you know, you evolves from there. You know, sometimes we had these meetings or seeing others' performances, and you don't think about something right away, but you know, few days, few weeks after, something comes up, and it's, you know, where it's coming from. And it's because we stay active. We stay active in the reflection and in the creativity. So I'm looking forward to share this with workshop participants, and also to witness, you know, people giving conference about their work and how they can attach themselves to this, you know, jewel.
Yeah, the point where I give a lot of value to is that we hopefully find ways to democratize, to open this kind of teaching, this kind of access to art, because that is really something we lack from. It's still a certain class or certain people that get just interested in this kind of art, even more if we talk about performance. Yesterday, I talked with a good friend of mine. He doesn't get it at all, but he kept 1 hour looking at videos that I showed him. And you know, we was discussing, and it was exactly what we need, actually. Just take time to discuss, and that is what the symposium and the workshop propose, actually. Time for everyone. I hope we can get the good elements and trigger some curiosity.
I also have to think about physical spaces and how it would be if it would be physically taking place in one city or maybe countryside, I don't know. Then you would, for example, participate in a workshop, and in the end of the workshop, you would walk away, and maybe in the hallway, you would meet the other participants from another workshop, and you would join together to go together to the lecture, or you look at the program together, and then you say, let's sit together and join the lecture. And so I'm very curious how that goes when now everything is online and everybody is in their own place, their home or studios, or I don't know where they will participate from what place. And I'm very curious how these in between spaces will be experienced when you can bump into each other. When will that happen in this symposium?
So we invite you all to bump into each other and yeah, form, you know, this is another place for you to connect with other artists specifically engaged in public performance. And we really wish to create a dialogue about how we can enter public space and reclaim it. You know, there is a reclamation that needs to happen after these lockdown and pandemic times. But how do we engage with strangers in the public space? And how do we form community? We're in an online symposium, but then we're talking about public space. And what is public space? You know, there are multiple platforms now for us to consider, but how do we work and be in place in the public realm is the big questions for us to ask as we go forward. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I'm Carron Little.
I am Martine Viale.
Jeremy Pauly.
I'm Ieke Trinks.